Howdy now. I know I carry on about packaging and trying to put things in boxes and etc before you send them down to me, and I've just got to do it one more time. Look, this is a really nice example of a quite a hard to get amplifier that came out of Sydney. It was made by Voom Radio in Sydney back in the 80's. And what was a great example, unfortunately, due to, this is all the casing around the outer, and sure, we'll make up another case for the outer and we can probably do that. But this is where it, copped it mainly. And it's just a pain because when we're trying to display something, we want to try and keep it as original as possible. And, when people put these into an airbag and put the slightest bit of, it wasn't a bubble wrap, it's like a foam wrap, but it's so thin. How these switches didn't get broken off, I have no idea. To be fair, he did have a little bit more of this foam wrap. It's not like a foam packaging, it's more like a hard foam. It's like a soft sort of sheet foam. And somehow, they survived. But the corners, which probably protected it to some degree, obviously took a hit in just about every direction. Even down here, geez. And it's just something to remember, guys. Like people like me, I'll pay the extra to put it in a box and and to send it down, and it's not an issue. Especially look, it's quite a great example of the period. It is, I think actually, just the front faceplate, very nice, not scratched up or anything. It's a couple little marks, but that's minor. It's getting on towards 40, 50 years old. But just these little attentions of detail. In this particular case, it's got dents over here now, and because I've got the before photos, I sort of know what's happened. Not to mention it was pretty obvious with the airbag, a hole in it where I reckon this bit here's gone through the back of it. But can't blame Australia Post for not packaging things correctly. And this is the thing. Once again, how did they survive? I have no idea. That is just very, very lucky. Because getting original switches for these are not easy. So just a point, guys. Talk to whoever you're buying stuff from and whoever you're selling to. Just talk about packaging. Just say, look, if you are going to send it in an airbag, use one of the big airbags. I mean, what I would have done with this is put it in a smaller box into a 5 kilo airbag, and you're still getting it across anywhere around Australia for $17-18. So it's no probs. This had a thin bit of foam around it as well, and we're pretty lucky. There's pretty fortunate. This is a fairly light object though, so it's probably bounced around a little bit better. But anyway, that survived quite okay. And we just need to bend up a new case for this. I think I've done my share of panel beating with cases lately, and I think sometimes when you've got something so generic, it is just a painted finish, not a vinyl finish or anything. The fact it's already got this on top of it, we probably can just get something bent up pretty easily just to suit. But look, overall though, I'm not unhappy with the seller, because the seller was more than reasonable on the price. It was actually extremely reasonable. So it's just a matter of sometimes we all let ourselves down in the packaging, just trying to skip a step as such and get it out to a client. Anyway. But overall, look, it's a really nice looking Skip 350. We'll give it a rest, give it a play in the next few days and hook it up. And they were great little devices. I'm trying to remember when they were 2 devices or 4. I think they were 2 devices from memory. That amount of heat sinking would, I would think, 2 2290s or 454s or something. But you know what? Let's find out. Let's quit. Well, instead of just making this a Brenton's whinge about packing, we can just have a quick look inside. Okay, so remembering this is back in the 1980s. Sometimes things weren't quite done, to what you'd be used to seeing. But some people may criticise the relay way they did those in the day. I remember seeing this one of these a few years back, and look, it's probably there's a little bit of refresher course on neatness that could be done with Voom electronics in the day. Got to straighten this panel out here, but that'll be an easy one. We will check all these contacts too, because the way they did these relays, we'll check for any dry joints or anything that's happened around there. It looks okay, just, that one there would have sat there. It's actually, okay, so it has come loose. They used to glue the relays down there, so we will check our contacts just in there. Now, as I was saying, either 2 or 4 device output. with that size heatsink, I think I said, I would say probably 2, 4 might be getting, that would need a bit more heat sinking, and there we go. Now there'll be two 2290s or 454, something like that, MRF 454s. And, by the looks of it, receive preamp too. I've forgotten about that. Okay, so they do a little receive preamp on the side here, which is a little, it's just a little HF amp, RF preamp, and that's actually quite neatly done, and even has a couple of light indicators and bits and pieces. So yeah, that's actually not too bad. Let's have a look. What else? No, pretty standard. Look, this obviously with the filtering, you wouldn't want to take it past more than about probably 20 megs, 20 to 30 meg would be nice. Not sure that this would be something to go put down on 80 meters, but you can try anything. Put a V8 in the mini minor if you really want to, but yeah, no. I think that's just have a look how they're doing this. Yeah, look, very basic design, but looks fine. Absolutely looks fine. So bar any component issues with the outputs, there's really not much else that you've ever got to be too worried about. We'll check, obviously dry joints and things around there. That may not have happened in transit. That could have just over the years, come loose a bit. I think, I'm trying to remember whether they glued them or Celastic. It looks like, you can see just underneath there, you can see where the imprint of, looks like a layer of something, glue or something that they used to put there. And that's how they used to, judging by the other thing that would have been the dead giveaway to how much power this was, is that, this cable here, probably good for, 20, 25 amps. But obviously if we had 4 devices in there, we'd be drawing a lot more than, around that 20 amp margin. What should you get out of one of these? If they're two 454s or two 2290s, look, people dream a bit with these. Most people will say they're a 250 watt amplifier, and that's really lovely, and it would be lovely if you could do that. Probably, look, it's probably 150. Look, we'll run it up and do a bit of a, show and tell on this at some stage soon, and we'll tell you exactly what it gets out of it. But a lot of the powers back in the 80s, you saw a lot of amplifiers that were rated in input power, and this confused people because people would go along saying, say, an FL2100Z was a 1200 watt amplifier, where it very clearly says it's 1200 watts input, and output is remarkably less. But and in that case, normally 700-800 watts. So something like this, input's probably 250. That would be a fair assumption to say it's 250 watts input. But I would put it 150. I'm thinking 150 is probably the go. I've seen two device amplifiers do a little bit more, but often they get a bit dirty. So often running these things at more like 100 to 125, 130 watts, you get a really clean output. All right, well there you go. Just thought instead of just me whinging about cases, being damaged, I can't fix that without it's actually got a tear. I don't know if it's a tear, but yeah, we're going to cause a tear trying to fix that. So we'll get another case bent up for it, and what we'll do is we'll obviously not go with the foam on top. It's like just a little absorbent little foam that can go missing, and we shall make the Skip 350H great again, and see how that all goes. But lovely bit of history for Australian history. And for you guys over in America that are watching this, this will seem very, very small to what some of your guys made in the 80s. But beggars couldn't be choosers back in the 1980s in Australia. It was much harder to get equipment over from the US back then, so we had to rely on some people making a bit of this stuff up for us. And look, these products were really good at the time. This was sort of early days. Then you had your KLBs that came out, and SES, Lunar Amps, and quite a few that were, getting around. Not all of those were Australian made though. KLBs were overseas, but I think the SCS, maybe someone could comment, trying to remember now. I don't think they were Australian made either, actually. So this may be one of the few Australian made amps that go back into the 80s. Maybe you can comment in the comments section as to whether you've seen any other Australian amps. Just having a look at these caps too here, actually. They seem all right. It's all right. I just always getting a bit sus of caps, and see a little bit on the side there, just starting to expand, and that one there where it's actually split it. We might just have a little look at the caps too. And by the way, if you get an amp like this, it takes 10 minutes to chuck in a few new electrolytics and bits, and especially if they're 40, 50 years old, it's really a good idea before you power it up just to change those out, and you'll be fine. All right, well, I'm sitting out in the kitchen, which is my favourite little spot, looking out to the dam. I do a lot of stuff here. It's my, I mean, the drinks fridge is close by, so, you know, you've got to be good. But it's a lovely day outside, and we've got young Riley coming home for the weekend this weekend, so he's home from uni already, which is good. We'll enjoy seeing him. All right, well, that was the Voom Radio Skip 350H, and we'll do a little performance video on it very, very soon. Cheers, all the best. Please subscribe. It works out, I think we looked at the stats, 23% of you subscribe of actual watchers. So we promise we won't charge you to hit the subscribe button, and you can leave anytime you want. Definitely love to have you on board, and we're going to try and increase those numbers a bit. But thanks for those that have subscribed recently, because it's taken our numbers up a bit, which is really good. So fantastic. Cheers and all the best. VK3 Charlie Mike, Tangambalanga, and the beautiful summer's day. Is it still summer, Sam? It's still just summer. Summer's ending very, very soon here in Australia. So to the guys overseas.
And the little bell, they won't miss the video.
Oh, Sam reckons hit the little bell as well as subscribe. There you go. You know, now we've got to talk about algorithms and how they work. But yes, the YouTube algorithm, the little bell helps us as well. Subscribe helps us. The bell helps us. You watching helps us. And the analytical numbers coming back have been really, really positive. We're really getting up in minutes watched per month now, which is good. And I do apologise, I haven't actually listed much up lately, still working through a few things, but we'll get a bit more up on here for sure. 73s, all the best, cheers.